Well, I'd like to welcome Jay Wright. Jay Wright has, been pioneering augmented reality at Qualcomm, and it's just extraordinary what they've done for us. Hands up, anyone here who's used the Qualcomm SDK? Yes, I mean, it's just extraordinary that we have this SDK that's stable, that's free, that's available. And I can't thank Jay enough for his work, because I think I met you in 2008 at EISMA. But anyway, Jay said, I asked him what I should mention in terms of what he might talk about, and he said smart terrain. So I'll leave it at that.
Thanks, Tish. This event also has special meaning for me. Actually, this venue has special meaning for me. It's been fun to see Beforeiya and AR grow up at this event. And actually, my career started at this very convention center in 1993, when at that time a troubled Apple computer launched the Newton. And I was here as an enterprising, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed developer trying to figure out what the opportunities would be for this new class of mobile devices. My things have changed. There's probably a lot of you that have never even heard of the Newton. Is that right? Is there anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about when I say Newton? Anyone who was not born in 1993? All right, I feel a little bit better. So I'd like to give you a little bit of perspective as a technology provider in this space for what we have been seeing with adoption for vision and AR for the last few years, and tell you where we think it's going. You know, we tend to oftentimes get caught up in what the newest, latest technology is and what the coolest head-mounted display or sensor is. But I think for those of us that care about the bottom line in business, it's really important to know where the value is being created and the rubber is hitting the road. So many of you have probably heard about Qualcomm's digital sixth sense vision. When we talk about the digital sixth sense, we talk about endowing mobile devices with our senses and faculties. So we want to give devices the ability to see, the ability to feel, the ability to hear, and some of our faculties, the ability to know that we're in a particular situation or that we've got a particular sense of location, sense of place. We think the more that the device knows and the more that it can use that information to make decisions for us, the more useful the applications and services it can deliver. And Beforeiya is absolutely delivering on the visual part of the sixth sense. We talk about Beforeiya giving apps and mobile devices the ability to see. Now, people will say, oh my gosh, computer vision is this huge, large thing. You cannot solve it all. And they are absolutely right. We are not trying to solve it all with Beforeiya. We are trying to make very difficult and very robust and very compelling CV available to all app developers. So we have focused very hard, and those of you who have used Beforeiya know this, on providing a straightforward API that very simply tells the application what is in the camera's field of view and where. We do that very, very well, and we're very, very focused on that. So one of the things that we're announcing at the conference, which is also some measure, I think, of progress for the industry overall, is we just crossed 100,000 registered developers for Beforeiya. And this has been in the 3.5 years since we've had this product available. We think this is a very significant milestone, and we certainly want to thank all of you for that have used Beforeiya. Thank you very much for the support. Thank you very much for the feedback. You have repeatedly told us that Beforeiya has been your choice because we provide robustness and reliability, and that's something that we are very, very serious about at Qualcomm. We want to bring technology to market that works very, very robustly so that you can rely on it in commercial applications. Now, one other thing that's interesting to note, this adoption for Beforeiya has not just been in developed markets. This has been a truly global phenomenon. Now, we would expect to see it where smartphone penetration has really been high. That'd be North America, Western Europe, and Asia. But you'll see even developing markets are really starting to take off. So I think this is showing that AR and vision is relevant for marketers and developers everywhere. And also for us, it's telling us that our technology, or a certain level of technology and performance, has really permeated the planet. So what are the applications these people have been doing, and how many applications have been developed? So we've been on a pretty aggressive trajectory since we launched this in 2011. I think when we first launched the SDK and before Beforeiya was actually a business unit and we were an R&D project, we said, wow, if we got like 500 developers in the first year and there were like 50 apps, that would be awesome. And we put it out there, and those of you that were around remember there were some kind of interesting games that popped up. First year we saw it hit 528, and these are cumulative numbers. But we just hit 10,200, and you'll notice over there in 2014, we're not halfway through the year, right? We haven't started June. So I expect this growth will continue and continue to accelerate. We also have an indicator of the number of apps that are in development, and that has spiked pretty meaningfully in the last couple quarters. So this technology continues to be used. It continues to be adopted. There's a variety of different classes of use that are driving it, but there's one in particular that I think has really been a driver more than others. And I would just broadly describe this as creating or enabling interactive products. And we had a pretty interesting takeaway for Beforeiya when we started looking at the apps and the ecosystem team is reviewing all these things. It turns out that Beforeiya is not really solving an AR problem. Beforeiya is largely solving a connectivity problem. And that connectivity problem is, how do I make a phone work with ordinary stuff? Something that doesn't have electronics in it and might be just sitting on a shelf, an ordinary product, a toy, a water bottle, a magazine. Many of you probably know that we look at our phones 100 times a day. Tish right there. Tish, you're probably like 200. But we're looking at them all the time. And display ads don't work for marketers like they used to. The traditional forms of advertising aren't on the same on mobile. So marketers are really, really looking for ways that they can drive engaging experiences on mobile. I mean, they really are. And this is really just right technology at the right time to make products interactive. Now, there's a whole range of experiences that I'd put in this category of interactive products, and some of them are probably less valuable and, dare I say, gimmicky. And some are more valuable. But the more valuable ones tend to be the ones where the AR experience is actually expressed as a feature of the product itself. And I think this is a pretty interesting thing, the whole idea of giving a physical product a digital feature. So the products that you see in this slide are all actually products that have Beforeiya experiences that go with them today. This is just a representative example, but a ton on the toy front. As you guys have seen, there's a ton that's happened with print and books. We're seeing it happen within the grocery category. We're seeing it happen with apparel. But there's new and different things every day. So we're announcing a new capability. Actually, we announced this capability last September, but we're doing something a little bit different with it. Last September, we showed something called Smart Terrain at our Uplink conference. And Smart Terrain was originally demonstrated on a commercial tablet to which we attached a depth sensing camera, structured light sensor. And what that enabled us to do was create a real-time reconstruction of the environment so that we could play a game on the table, but a little bit different kind of gaming experience. As a gamer, I could make my own game environment by moving things around on the table. Which was really cool. So the whole idea is we were trying to take AR experiences from a dumb plane to smart terrain. Kind of catchy? Okay. Couple giggles. Thanks. I thought it was pretty cute. So smart terrain, we showed then. Now what we've done differently, we have made smart terrain work with ordinary devices, so today's tablets and phones, both iOS and Android. So next month, with the release of Beforeiya 3.0, you will be able to develop these kinds of experiences, interactive experiences where game physics will actually be able to interact with objects that users can place wherever they want to devise their own sort of game environment or game world. Now, the really cool thing about what we've done with the technology here is that the API that we have for Smart Terrain will remain consistent regardless of the camera technology. So you can use it today on existing devices for 3D reconstruction, and then as new devices come down the road, and oh, they are coming, you will be able to take advantage of the depth sensing technologies that are there, and you'll have an even more compelling experience. So our launch app, launch partner, launch customer for Smart Terrain was McDonald's. I'm sure everybody knows McDonald's. Something like 35,000 locations around the world in 100 countries. I bet many of you did not know, though, that McDonald's has never in their history changed the design on the French fry box. McDonald's has changed the design on the French fry box. They did it for the World Cup this year, and with the new French fry box is this app called McDonald's Goal. And it's a really cool kind of trick shot experience where when you recognize that French fry box, it turns into a goal and you flick the soccer ball in. And using Smart Terrain, you can introduce new objects into the scene such that you can flick the ball to bounce off of them and into the goal. And the more things that you bounce off of, the cooler. So if you're going to be at the press conference right after this or come over to the booth, you can see some other examples of what's happening with Smart Terrain. But we think this is a really, really compelling technology. 3D reconstruction is something that we have spent a lot of time on. I know a lot of us in this room, in this industry, have thought a lot about SLAM and how to make it compelling and robust. This is really compelling and robust, so we look forward to you checking it out and trying it. Another thing that's new for us, I talked about interactive products and the ability to create new digital features of those products and have AR that is actually part of the product experience. This is extremely relevant for the toy industry. Any of you have kids that you're buying Skylanders for? Okay, so you know what's going on at the convergence of toys and video games. There's this new play pattern emerging where I go buy the toy, and the toy has some way of now jumping inside of the game. And when it jumps inside of the game, it unlocks new functionality. And it's actually pretty interesting because it's been somewhat of a business model now for video games. To some extent, video games are actually being monetized by the toys because it's easier for kids to go and buy the toy or have mom and dad buy the toy than it is to do an online purchase. So we've been spending a lot of time on this. We've perfected our object recognition technology for toys and designed it specifically for vehicles and action figures. We expect it'll work with a broader range of objects, but really, really compelling. And you will start to see some amazing toys coming to market in the not-too-distant future. This is something that we're announcing for a closed beta today, and that we'll be shipping in the SDK in fall. So that's all I've got for you today. I want to make sure I give time to my friend Thomas Alt from Mataio. Thomas said, "Did you hear Intel said my name in the presentation? Can you do the same thing?" So
yeah, you do get a few.
Come see us at the booth. Thanks.
There is actually a moment while we change computers. There's a moment for a couple of questions for Jay while Thomas sets up. So you have to wave because I can't see out in the darkness there. Oh, you see them. Good. Excellent. Yeah, come in the light, maybe. We're just getting the mic to them.
Hi.
Hi.
You just said that there's 3D object detection now. So toys?
Yes.
So is it limited to toys, and what technology are you using?
It's not limited to toys. I'd say it behaves best with rigid objects with relatively limited articulation and some amount of visual detail.
Thanks.
Yeah, we got room for another question. If I can see a waving hand, you have to. Oh, it's up there. Good. Can't see a thing yet.
Jay, when you are over here on your left. Right here. So how do you translate what the ROI is to the companies that do this? And do you have a way of measuring what percentage of users who come across the opportunity to launch actually download an app and then use it? So what is that ROI?
You know, we have different data from ROI on case studies that have come in from different developers. It really varies. You know, on the marketing front, some of them are using a direct response ROI. where they're trying to drive some kind of engagement. Maybe it's content sharing. They're using it as a way to create new content, or they're trying to get somebody to click or convert on something. And those conversion rates have been sufficient that they continue to do it and invest in future campaigns. There's also a lot of brand marketing initiatives where they're just trying to drive brand, and they've got their own metrics for those. But I can tell you, I know it's sufficiently compelling and working also because they continue to do it and update their apps and add new features. There's other categories besides interactive products, like the shopping, the see before you buy kind of stuff, which that one's got a very straightforward ROI. Analytics-wise, we do not have a built-in analytics function that people are using for us to track that directly. Anybody else?
I think we might move on now because time's getting short.